Hey guys, it's Nico. Today we're gonna do something fun. I've got some of my students are gonna be playing in my mini tournament. Only gonna be 2 rounds. Only 4 of them are actually doing this, and I get to watch. Um, and right off the bat, we have sort of a little bit of an unusual first move here from White. This game, we got 2 games going on. We got this one. We got this one. This is more normal. They look the same, but there's a different relationship between this shape and this black stone, and this shape and this black stone. It's very unusual for black to not respond here. I would normally expect black to play this. The reason for this is just the local shape. White has a couple weaknesses, sort of here, sort of things. Often white will have to respond if white were to play away. This can be very painful. You could even double hane. It's common that people will think that the double hane is something you only see when white's got some sort of liberty issue on the edge here. But that's not really what a double hane is. What a double hane is we're subjecting both shapes to some stress. So normally if we see what happens here if white tries to fight something like this, both black shape and white shape are being subjected to a lot of stress, and generally, whichever shape is stronger is going to get the better end of the stress. Now, there's really no good path here for white, I don't think, unless the ladder looks like it favors black. So I'll just show that. So if white descends here, black Atari here, then when black Atari is here and stretches, we have Miai of A and B, right? So there's nothing there. Sometimes white can play this move, try to capture black, but then there's this astonishing thing. Now if white were to play here, things will go very wrong. Black has this to Suji, and then we'll cut. And white gets in all kinds of trouble. But I don't actually expect players of this level will ever see this kind of thing. But I am interested in the fact that black didn't continue here. Normally this shape has become very urgent because they're in contact. That's not what happened over here. So here black is less forced to continue, but here black actually chose to do so. This is an okay move. There's nothing too weird's going on this board yet. Black here makes total sense. I actually really like, white here makes total sense. I actually really like this decision from white. Essentially what's happening is that black's getting this shape that's already very strong on this side, and it's making it look like D8 might be a little bit over-concentrated. So if I see D8 already on the board, the way I like to think about it is, fundamentally, this stone is already a little stronger than it would usually be, because it's already got sort of a nearby group that's a little bit strong. So instead of just trying to defend against this group, I'm sort of in a position where I have a little more strength. So I would like to pincer. It's kind of a standard thing when black has a stone in this part of the board. And the idea is that generally we're just going to have a fight that's going to go in this direction. Right? And when a fight goes in this direction, then this stone is going to be very relevant. That's not what happens. This is still perfectly fine. Black hasn't made a mistake. It's just sort of a style thing. This is somewhere you could tell that he's my student, because I always tell my students that whenever I see a shape like this one, I always want to play here immediately. Basically because it's almost double sente. Maybe this one's going to make it clearer. This is uncomfortable for white to ignore. White can ignore it. It's not like it's the end of the world, but it's uncomfortable. So very often white will answer this somehow, maybe here, or maybe jumping in, or whatever. And the notion is that if black plays away, white here is also uncomfortable for black to ignore. Again, black can ignore it, but he doesn't. There is some pressure on the stone. So this is sort of a high interest area. So white decided to skip that and just directly approach, which makes sense. It's sort of been listening to me. And he gets this shape, which I kind of like. But black plays, oh, that's an interesting move. I would have expected black to come to the remaining corner. There is some weakness in here for white, and probably if white just responds, the weakness is going to go away. Normally black would be able to invade here later. If white responds, then the weakness goes away, and even if white doesn't respond, now there's starting to wonder if maybe this is a little bit overkill. Maybe you played too many stones in the same area, I don't know. This is the position white just played here, and black's thinking about what to do next. This one makes a lot of sense. White, by the way, is in a completely different time zone from black. I think black is around the same time zone as I am. I think it's sort of morning for him. And white, I think, must probably late afternoon or maybe even nighttime. By white in this game, I think is black is also around morning, and white, I believe, is going to be sort of mid-afternoon probably for him. So black just plays away. We haven't actually looked back at this game. As you can expect, if I think that black's going to play here, I also think white's going to play here. But this is okay. I mean, there's a little bit of tension here that's unresolved, but it's not a super big deal. I follow all of this. White plays here, white goes here. And then I'm expecting, since black is my student, he might play here immediately. He does. Yeah, you can see that. This is just something I say is part of my style, and I've sort of convinced my students that I like this move, that this move is good. That doesn't mean they have to play it. It's entirely a matter of style, but it's my style. White defends very, very solidly. It's probably an okay move, but it's a little bit slow. It is interesting, though, that, since white is so solid, it means that these weaknesses of black's are a little more serious than if white had played something a little looser or played tanuki, right? So essentially what you would say is that when white defends, the act of defense essentially is, you could think of it as there's a lot of attack and defense. Attack and defense sort of go together. And when you make something really, really solid like this, you're essentially like, some people say make a fist before you punch. This is making a fist. So now black has to worry a little more about the weaknesses he has in this shape than he would otherwise. Okay? So black tanuki is perfectly fine. I would probably actually still play up here. I still think this is the most urgent spot. I mean, if I was playing this, probably would look like this. But you don't have to do this. This still all makes sense. These stones it's kind of like ignoring a shoulder hit. They're so close together, like they're in diagonal contact. So if I was white, I would play here. And then the dynamic of power between these two groups changes greatly. If black were to play here, white could even attack the whole thing. Or alternatively, you could take this, and black's going to have to find some kind of uncomfortable looking thing on the side. I don't know what this group is really doing. He could push out this way. Maybe, there's some stuff. But it makes sense to answer this. I don't think there's anything wrong. Mostly it's just I keep wanting to play in this part of the board. I know that I've talked with black about this shape and how when white plays there, you almost always answer because locally the shape's a little bit bad for white. This is this is them being my students. This is my style. I love this move. We can talk about it some other point. This is not. I don't actually usually recommend this move. I just play it a lot. Kicking here makes sense. Black just stands. Yes. Does it make sense? I would probably want to either cut like this or cut like this, something like that. Looks like black's might be making two weak groups here, but it doesn't look bad to kick, especially if you're planning to defend. Because very frequently, if you were to play away, there's a lot of aji in the shape, right? With stuff here. This is a very common theme. That doesn't even depend on the triangle stone. It doesn't have to be there for the aji to be there. So when white plays somewhere else, there's a lot of this sort of issue here. But in this case, if white was going to play here anyway to fix this, then a lot of the aji is reduced by this move. So it sort of justifies kicking. Very technical. Let's see. Instead, he comes up here. This is similar, right? A lot of the aji is going away, so the kick exchange might not be so bad. Now with black, there's two choices. I would either jump here, or maybe I would just ignore this altogether and play over here and just sort of say this was kind of a good... Oh, that's exactly what black does. Okay, yeah, you can see. White here is an interesting move. The local tension can be resolved by black this way. And since white has trouble on this side because of the shape, then this stone isn't so strong. So this is actually a good fighting move for black. There's actually a fight on both sides. I like to talk about this sort of as a double-sided move. Black's able to exert pressure in both directions by playing here. Which is why probably I would be a little bit worried with white about starting the fight this way. I would prefer to do it even just this exchange first. Now if black plays here, there's almost no pressure on this group, and so white is able to play freely just on this side, which is the weaker stone. So let's get rid of those marks, and let's see what's going on. Black came out here. That's interesting. That looks like a good move. I would probably still play here, but this is already significantly improving the fight because we're defending this side, so then if black comes out here, we can comfortably play on this side without getting this side in danger. So it's still okay. This is bad shape. You don't ever want to push like this because now you've got sort of double Ataris and stuff, and black shape got better. And maybe I'll switch to the other game and we'll come back and look at this one in a bit. That's interesting. That's very interesting. I was expecting a double Hane. That's an unusual move. Even if you're going to play on this side, usually this, you don't want to stop white from making an empty triangle. Right? If white plays this move, it's an empty triangle, so usually you don't want to stop him from doing that. Let's keep going and see what's going on this board. So this board, we left off right around here. Black plays here. Now, I know this white player. I'm pretty sure I know how he's going to answer. He did not answer the way I expected. He almost always answers this move over in this side, which, I don't know. I don't ever really like it, but he's always said that this is sort of a textbook thing that he knows. Instead, we're playing this. This is good common shape. Is black going to attach here? This would be the really fighting move. He could also Tanuki. He could also jump out. We'll see what he does. Complete Tanuki. All right. This is fine. You could argue that this white stone is maybe even slightly overconcentrated since he's strong here. It's not a big deal that white got this exchange in. That black doesn't ignore this. It's hard to attack this stone. Even if black's going to sacrifice it, it's a very slow stone to get rid of. Like this sort of exchange, if it ever happens, white's still got a bunch of weaknesses in the corner. And capturing the stones is very slow. Like, black can't even just... they're not even completely dead here. Like, just say we play something else, some random thing. This still works, right? There's still the connection at triangle. So white has to really be worried about that, and then you can, make a horrible mess in the corner. So you trade the stones for some very strong Aji here. So the stones are valuable whether or not they even get captured. It's a good stone. It makes sense for black to Tanuki. It's interesting. It doesn't seem like a move I would expect from a Q, but it makes sense. So white plays here. This I'm following. I'm picking up what he's putting down. This helps with the Aji in the corner, and he doesn't want to directly address this yet. I would probably come out with this stone. I still think that the weaknesses here are important enough that this stone would be valuable, but let's see what he does. This way. This also makes sense. Just settle the stone. Sure. Counter Hane? Yes. Yeah, this looks a lot like a Joseki. Right. That's an interesting choice for black. For white. So we're just going to let black take the corner. I'm not sure if I'm completely down with it. Oh, this is... Is he going to cut? No, he's just going to... Okay, yeah, then this exchange is fine. Yeah, you don't want to cut here. But generally, the main point here is that white's built this wall. Like, essentially, white gave up the corner, and white gets a wall in exchange. And the real question, we already know, sort of, get a notion of what the corner is worth. We got to ask ourselves what the wall is worth. And it looks like this wall is mostly intending to fight over here. So if white's building this wall, we would hope white would be playing something around here to attack this stone pretty soon. So white here, I would never answer that. I would play this. Mostly this completely settles the group. If white extends here, which is what I would be expecting, then this wall is aiming at this stone. We just defend this stone. And it's very hard for white to get good use out of this wall. I guess we can try and fight over here somewhere. I don't know. I kind of like this for black. Use capture or use extend? Extending makes sense. I think capturing's probably a little bit better, but it's not a super big deal. The thing you want to worry about is white here, a good move. But it is an empty triangle, so it's okay to allow it. Okay. This is what white would normally want to do with the wall. Except that the wall has these holes in it, right? And you always want to be careful about this. The metaphor I will always use for attacking and go. You take this wall and you take the opponent's head and you smash it into the wall, right? You ram this stone into this. But the problem is that the wall has these cutting points, and there is a chance that the wall might break. You might damage your home here. Black goes full on. Now, I probably like this one better. There is the Aji of connecting with a monkey jump one of these two moves. You want to be a little bit careful because this is locally Sente, but it's not like this is a bad move anyway. There's Aji of connecting underneath here in some variations, and there's cutting. It still looks good to me. Instead we do this. Is black just going to cut? The question if black cuts is, does white give up this stone to attack these? I don't think this is good. Because white has to be very careful about how you attack these. If you do any sort of defending on this side, whatever, then suddenly these guys can get into trouble. And if you try to come out with this, I mean, these are very far from dead, and you gave up the stone. And now this might be weak. This becomes very difficult to fight. So I think white probably has to connect, but this is going to go very poorly for him. Is that what happens? Oh, white does do this, and black extends rather than capturing. Now, extending is worse. Extending is significantly worse, mostly because these stones are not fully alive yet. White at some point can connect. Right? He doesn't have to now, he can just extend here. But it's now very hard to fight if at some point, at any time, white can do this, or white can capture and squeeze. Right? So black has to be very careful about how he handles this. Black just Tanukis. Oh, I see. This part of the board is on fire. I think white can give up this stone. That's what I would do here. Yeah. I agree. Black had a good chance. The cut was good, but this was the extension was not ideal, and Tanuki is bad timing. So black comes out. Black comes out here. This stone is almost certainly going to be captured, but it's going to be captured sort of slowly in Ngote, while this is much more important. Now, I don't think there's any real plan for white of saving the stone. If there was some idea of maybe you could counterattack these, then maybe you wouldn't want to touch it, but I think probably at this stage what I would want to do is just make this capture really small. So I would be interested in kicking here maybe, and then jumping here, and just sort of making this a really small capture, trying to see if we can make black look over concentrated by making him add more and more stones to this area. Instead, white decides to fight. Now, this is definitely a stone I would sacrifice. The only way you can justify fighting here is if you play here and cut the groups. Otherwise, even this, if black just connects here, I really wonder why they even saved the stones. Black just got really strong. Now there's all kinds of weaknesses here. I don't know if black has to connect. Oh, I would never play this. So this has become a mini wall. And a wall is the thing you want to use for fighting. So black would be interested in fighting sort of in this area of the board, right? So when you have a mini wall, you should be looking at moves like this. We should be looking at moves like this. All kinds of really powerful fighting stuff here. And I think there's great value to just connecting to make sure that this wall never breaks the way this one could have, right? This is a wall. You want to use it for fighting. And then it has this cutting point, and the whole wall can break. When you connect it, now the wall cannot break, and this is automatically almost an attack on this. With white, I want to defend this right now, probably here, or maybe we can run, something like that. The shape becomes really bad when there's this really strong wall right next to it. Now instead, black does this, and it gives white a chance to sort of defend this shape while this is still open. So white can defend it, and it might even be Sente for white because black still has to come back and defend. This is also an okay move for white. This also makes sense. Black jumps out, and now the white does have the opportunity to try to make this group worth something by cutting. It is a little bit dangerous because he's not completely settled here, and there's a lot of cutting points and weaknesses on this side. It's not really a shape you want to fight with. This would sort of be a running shape. There's a big gap, big gap. But if you're not going to fight with these stones, I don't know why you want them. So let's see what white does. He just connects. Okay. But, again, then if black just connects here, I really wonder why these stones are even on the board. Like, doesn't have to connect there, of course. Instead, black can take the initiative against this side. Is that what black does? It is what black does. He does it a little bit slowly. I kind of like this move. There's this cut. And just, like, assuming white wants to save the cut, and just the whole group can get surrounded and into trouble. Of course, white probably shouldn't save the cut and should run out here, but then that means you would cut here. You would never play this. It's a much stronger move to do it this way. And probably you're going to follow like this. Keep defending. On the weak side, these stones are never in trouble. These stones might be, so black wants to keep playing on this side. The other group that we have to be a little bit worried about is these two stones over here. So that's the one thing black has to be mindful of as he comes out and starts this fight. So instead we do this, and this is a good move. This is not the good move, right? This is playing on the wrong side. You could argue that maybe this group is okay because you can connect here, and the group you want to play from is this one. But in that case, you still don't want to play this. This is way too close to the strong group. You would instead, at the very least, play here. And you could also maybe, if you really think this group is strong and this group is strong, you could go all out here and just try to surround them. This probably isn't even that crazy. I don't think it's that dangerous because... yeah, this might be a good fight. It's just not very much of a counterattack for white. The main question I have is when is white going to play here to get this group in trouble? But it takes this move for white to do it. He can't just run out. If he runs out with this group doesn't get automatically in trouble. We need to play here first. So, I don't know. This might be good. Anyway, this is in the wrong spot. White just jumps out. Yes. Right. And as white gets stronger with this group, we really have to keep looking back at this spot. Black peeps, we connect. Alright. And this is actually the state of this game. Let's look at the other one. Oh my god, 56 moves? What on earth? Okay. A lot has happened since we came back. So we watched this. Black would double Hane here probably. Oh, cuts instead. Okay, yes. Essentially white has all these cutting points. Now, we gotta be a little bit worried about this. What if white sacrifices this guy? And just eats this? Because I think this is pretty much dead. And the question I've got is, can black get compensation for this? Is there something against this stone? Can we pull out here? You have to get a lot for this. This is a fairly big gain for white. I mean, black's doing very well on this part of the board, but I don't know. This is messy. So we capture and we connect. Okay, this all makes sense to me. Peeping is not necessarily good. The main thing is it's going to give more liberties to this stone, which is going to change the way it behaves, for instance, if you play here. Right now, it's simply impossible to Hane because you get cut with Atari. But for instance, after we make this exchange, this might be possible. This isn't Atari anymore, and maybe you can fight. Now, right now, you don't want to fight because the group is weak, but we got to wonder, you know, okay, so we've made black make this ugly shape, but I don't know if the white shape is that much better, right? Is the exchange necessarily good? It's not clear. So we'll see if we'll see how that turns out. Black does answer. White decides that he really wants black to have very ugly shape, which is true. Black's shape is very ugly. But it's very hard to attack. White's shape here, again, it's sort of good flexible shape, but it's not really fighting shape. There's a lot of holes and gaps in it. So he wants to be a little bit careful about exactly what we expect to get from this. We probably want to surround black, somehow get these two stones out of dodge. But we don't actually expect to really make black, you know, worry about life. Maybe. So there's a move here for black that I'd be very surprised if this is what black plays, but I'm... This is mildly concerning. Let's see what black does. Okay. Whoa! Is he just sacrificing the group? This is what it looks like he's doing. Cut. Okay, now white has some liberty issues with this. What's going on here? This is a mess. This is a mess. So white's coming out here, I guess. Wow, they played this fast. I would use up all my time here. Okay, and you're wedging, I guess? No? Because I thought this wedge might be the plan. Now, it doesn't even work. You can't stretch here because you run out of liberties on this side really fast. I guess you can play this and white can't answer because then this works. But still, white just captures, and this is a very bad exchange. The group's not going to die, but you really want to give him that? Yuck. Okay. So instead, we just come out. I see. All right. So far, so good. Is black cutting? I would cut. It looks like the best way to defend this group is to cut. You defend this group by making the white group weaker, by setting up this counter Atari. There's a lot more options if you cut. That's a weird choice. Cutting looks like a good move. It's very hard to figure out how this fight's going to go, though. If white plays the most aggressive move here, the question is, can you do something strong against this? And we still have the same issue here that we're running out of liberty. So I do see why black might be reluctant to do it. This is an interesting move, though. It's Tsuji looking, but does it actually do anything? Let's see. White just stretches. Stretching looks smart. The Atari makes sense, and we play here, but it does allow black to make this eye, and you gotta wonder still about the wedge and about the potential to make another eye here. If white wants to kill black, this probably isn't going to work. It's probably still a good way to play whether or not black dies. I mean, black can... I'd probably just connect here, and even if black wants to do this to live, this is really no big deal. And white's making this huge, beautiful wall completely in sente, and then we're going to break open this part of the board. This cut's looking juicy, too. Instead of that, we just stretch. Make strong shapes. Hane? Yes. This doesn't change anything, though, right? If he stretches, this still dies immediately. So we can still do this. Instead, we Atari from the other side. Now, this is gonna become a huge mess. So black's gonna connect, and now there's this cutting point. Blake's got to defend it somehow, and then we just cut. We don't cut. Why didn't black cut? Okay, what do you do instead? Okay. So this is going to be similar to the other variation, though, right? Because white can Atari here. Is this better or is this better? If white wanted to kill black, this would be the move. But I don't think that's sane. I think instead we just want to do this, and we get the wall in sente again. Because black still has to live here. Make an eye somewhere. Instead, black just directly cuts, but then, why'd we do this junk, right? Because this isn't an eye. Like, white can just capture, so we gotta wonder. We gotta be very careful about this. White's still gonna play out here, probably. No. The Atari. This is a bad habit. This is a very bad habit to Atari cutting stones. Because we haven't actually fixed the issue with this cut here, right? That's really what we have to worry about, is that black's going to cut here, and then this group's going to be weak, this group's going to be weak, and it's very hard to ever actually fight here. So when we Atari, black just went for it. I do understand why. He is worried that white just connects here because he can't cut there. Because, that happens. Still, again, if the white just captures here, even if black captures this wall is pretty nice to get in sente. It's not clear that these stones are dead, and even if they are, this is not necessarily a good result for black. White did capture, and then black this work? I don't... Oh, I see what Black's thinking. I see. Black's thinking this, 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 this. And it's a ladder. White can, of course, choose to fight the Ko instead. This still captures him. That's crazy. Okay. This is messier than it looked. Tari from this side. Okay. Black gotta be very careful. He needs something to get out of dodge here. If you don't capture the stones, you still need to live somehow. Is there something I'm missing? Why not just connect here? I don't see it. This doesn't... Oh. No, it doesn't work. We got this. Is Ko the plan? Maybe Ko. Ko should be good for White, because if you win the Ko, Black dies. And if Black wins the Ko, White's going to get a Ko threat in exchange. I can imagine a Ko threat being worth this White group, because White still has the outside. But if Black dies, there's actually nothing Black has in this part of the board at all. So he's got only the Ko threat. I would fight this Ko. But I see. So instead, we allow Black to capture this. This is painful. I guess what you can get in exchange... Don't recapture that. What you can get in exchange is you can get these guys. And this guy's... These get out of dodge, and Black also gets out of dodge. And we're very lucky that there's no cutting points here that actually matter, because you can always capture these two. White captures here. I was expecting this. Fight back against this group. When we come out here, if White just does this, Black still doesn't have two eyes, and it's not obvious what he's connecting to. Could be dangerous. Yes, this. This is similar to this, except this one does basically the same thing, but also eats the stones. Okay. And this fight can continue for a while. Wow. What? What on earth? Okay. So maybe White's afraid of Black here. Black here has a connection here, and if White tries to break it, there's this that can attack this whole group. You gotta remember that this group can get out of dodge by just capturing over here if you ever have to. Right? So it's not that big a deal. That way or this way. Whatever works to connect you over to the corner, then this group is okay. So it's not that strong of an attack against White. We can even just connect over the top, and even if this happens, we don't have to worry about any of the cutting points or anything, because we can always live with this group. So that could be in real danger. This is a misstep. Black's getting out of dodge, and this cut's going to be important now. It wasn't important before, because Black didn't have a weapon to fight this with. If this group becomes strong, it's going to switch from being a target to a weapon. And it's a weapon right next to where White has weaknesses. This is one of the really important things about attacking and Go. You got to be really careful about counterattacks. If you attack really hard, try to kill, and then the group is okay, suddenly the group can switch from being weak to being strong. And it's one of the really important reasons why you want to attack with really strong shapes. So you don't leave this kind of cut available. That's not what the game is like this. Just keep stretching. And Black cuts. The stone is very easy to sacrifice, though. I wouldn't cut now. Black's main plan to win the game is still this Moyo. So, you can stretch. And White should be looking at this cut. It's a little bit painful that this is Atari and Black can capture the stone, but, I mean, you gotta handle the cut first. Does this work? Looks like it works. Oh, then White's in a little more trouble than I thought. Okay. Atari here doesn't completely fix this Atari here for White, but it does something. So we're going here. I think Black's trying to say that there's some pressure on this group. I still think the group's okay because of this. So we don't actually have to worry about whether there's eyes on the side because this is always there. But, you know, got to worry about this cut. It looks like this just works and white's captured. So it looks like this just for anyone who's... and you see at no point can white cut with Atari. Right? Which is always the question here. If white can cut with Atari, then we can fight back. Because we could, like, for instance, cut Atari the 4 stone, then we can Atari through the 2 stone and escape. But at no point is any of the cuts Atari. Right? So since they're not Atari, black just responds by capturing you. He gives Atari and it's inescapable. Right? And this happens at every single step of this way. Right? This is not Atari either, so black just captures. Okay. So white does go for this. This is to save this group. Black just connects. This makes sense. It's Sente-ish. There's a chance white won't answer, right? Because you could always capture here or just do this, right? Instead, oh, that's a bizarre shape. Black gets extra forcing moves here that he wouldn't normally be entitled to. Normally, black's entitled to 1 forcing move, and then you capture, right? But when you extend here, black gets at least 2. So a little bit of a weird shape. Actually, probably this is the more common one. The reason why you would normally Atari from this side instead of this side, it's a very minor thing. But if you ever choose, if black ever plays this, if you decide not to capture him, if you decide maybe it's a co-threat or something and you're willing to sacrifice, you're losing a little bit less if you Atari'd from this side, right? Because you don't lose the 1 stone, which if you do it this way, if you Tanuki this, then you lose the 1 stone as well. Anyway, this is no way that's Sente, right? White's just completely alive. You're connected over here. So this cut doesn't work, but a lot of things around this area are going to interfere with that sequence and might be Sente. And black's going to have some trouble. Like, are we going to defend this cut and this? Like, you got to find a good way to deal with something like this. You could try and just counterattack as something that makes sense, something like this. But you got to be a little careful about it. There's a lot of holes and a lot of problems. Yeah, this is nothing. I don't know why they're playing here. This is nothing. This is a complete lapse in the flow of the game because we have an important area here, and this is just endgame. Yeah, white's already alive because we captured these 2 stones, so there's no reason to play this stuff. Also, a good habit just to have, whenever you're going to play here, you should always at the very least consider this one. And as we see with black plays here, we're going to get in a lot of trouble because this is double Atari. So black probably has to yield anyway. So that's obviously better than just this. Now black doesn't have to answer this. I would like to play this. This is a good way to strengthen all of the shapes around, and it hurts the white shape in the corner, really squeezing the liberties out of this thing. If white were to play something like this at this point, I'm not even going to answer this move. I'm just going to keep bugging the corner. Right? My answer to the cut is to Atari here and then capture here. And if the corner dies, I just don't have to worry about this. Yeah, this is not... None of this is forced. White's alive. Black's not threatening to kill white. White's not defending his group. He's alive because he's connected. So this is a waste of time. Okay, so this is a good idea for white. Threatening the cut makes a ton of sense. That's some good coffee. Threatening the cut makes a ton of sense, but there are more productive ways to threaten it by interfering a little later in the sequence where black has other weaknesses. And we just defend, and maybe we'll go back to the other game. The other game's also advanced quite a bit. How are we doing? Where did we get off? So we left off, black was attacking this thing. All right. And black seems to have gone all out. This makes sense, especially because these are the weakest group of the surrounding groups that black has, right? This one can always connect here. This one's, of course, completely alive. So the weakest one is here. This is the one he's playing with, and it's also the one that's the most severe attack on this group. This makes great sense. This looks like a good move. White here looking for some forcing moves. Usually you just extend like this in order to give fewer forcing moves. Right, when Black Hane is here, then White has a lot of other options of things White can do to mess with the Black shape. Right? Even here, White still has more forcing moves. If Black plays here and White here, you don't even answer this. But at this point, you sort of feel like you might have to, and Black does. This is giving White some additional defensive options for the group. It looks like Black's grabbing some points on the edge, and he is, but this is coming at the expense of a lot of the initiative and a lot of what you were hoping to grab in the fight. So I don't know if this is good or not. I would normally just play this. Strong fighting shapes for fighting, right? The stronger the shape, the more it's ready for fight. So here this all makes sense. This is what I expect. Yeah, like here's an example of like what I mean about it being easy to these sort of things really helping White to live. Like there's just an eye right there. The group is probably like alive as it stands at this point. There's almost nothing you can even do to attack it anymore. The attack's kind of over, and that wouldn't be the case if you play here, right? There aren't that kind of resources to make an eye here, so White's still going to have to run. And Black would really like White to run, because as we come out, the influence from this wall is reduced. We might be able to save this group. There's a chance we can come out this way and then save this group, and if we manage to do that, so let's just sort of give you the general picture. We come out this way, here, and then we save this group, and when this happens, this White group could get in trouble, right? So you got to be very careful. All of that is lost if White just lives locally. Right? You don't get any of the chance to fight so strongly in this part of the board, right? So, are these points on the edge worth that? I don't know. White comes out here. We just jump out. So White should throw these 3 stones away immediately, right? Immediately. So, I like to say that the stones you want to defend are soldiers and bankers. Soldiers are the ones that can hurt your opponent, and bankers are the ones that are worth a lot of points. Black's cutting point here is nothing. Black's cutting point here is nothing. So these stones are not hurting Black in any way. And, they're worth about 6 points. That's all they're doing. So White should sack them. Probably, I would say, I feel like I want to run out with this group in this general direction. Yeah, just sort of anywhere, I think this makes sense. Right, this still allows Black to continue to pressure the whole group. This is a good move. It's not only pressuring the group, it's threatening to bring these guys out and attack this whole thing. White comes out. This is probably necessary defensive move to fix these guys. But as this keeps going, you realize that Black's getting more and more ammunition against this group. Maybe White can play a little bit softer, and that way, if Black adds another stone here, you don't actually have to answer it, at least not on this side. We can always just play on this side immediately. That's an interesting move. It makes sense. This is a good way to attack the group. If the stone's alive, that's not an eye for White. I'm less interested in... maybe. I was going to say I was less interested in making sure he didn't get an eye and wanted to seal him in, but I'm a little wondering whether this wall is going to be that effective to break in this side. I think this is strong enough that a big white-black wall here might not actually do that much. In which case, trying to bring the group closer so we can break in over here might make more sense. So taking the eyes, I'm down with this choice. This is a good move from White. Trying to settle eyes. You don't want to have to run this way because then Black's going to have really powerful dual-purpose moves right here around G4 area. So White's got to do something like this. Is this the next move? Yes, it is. That's a good move. Smart. This makes sense. You get the group out of dodge so you don't have to run, because normally you want to run instead, but it's very hard for running to be very valuable unless you ever get to cut here. But I don't think this black group is ever a target because Black can do this at any time. So this makes sense to me. Oh. Okay. This probably captures White. But I think these two stones are not soldiers or not bankers. white can throw these guys away. It's not that big a deal. My main concern is how do we catch up to black? We did give up a lot in the process. These stones are, you know, this is big, but it seems like it's mostly all white's got. And it's kind of hard to counterattack anyway. I guess white was really hoping to get this in. Huh. So this shouldn't work, right? Oh, maybe it does. Maybe it works if you Atari here. When we play this, this is what's going to go bananas. That's what happened. Okay, so we're going to have a crazy fight about to break out. I think white playing this Atari might be enough to save these stones. I didn't even bother looking for it, mostly because I think I'd probably ignore this move. But it is there, so I mean, once you get to this point, you got to play the Atari first and then save them. Right, this is white's getting in some trouble. White's getting in some real trouble. Cutting here is very strong because we actually don't have any liberties with these 3 stones, right? The cut is going to go very wrong. This way is the Tsujier looking prettier way, but white can sort of bail with part of the group. So probably this way, even if it's not as pretty, that's the way to get the whole thing. Now instead white just bailed, but that's a big loss. It wasn't a big loss to give up the stones, but it's bigger when there's more stones because you're just committed to more stuff, right? And now we're trying to catch up on territory without fighting. It's a little difficult. It's important to keep in mind that this monkey jump does not seem sound because white here and there's this problem about descending at S4. So it looks like this is maybe as far as black can get. Can he even do this one? Maybe this one can work. So a little fussy. Yeah, my reading says it's okay. This one looks like it's okay. But the other one's not. So this is a little more points for white than it might look like. I don't know. Black goes for it. Why do we go for it? There's no reason. There's no need for this. Black should... We just captured this. We got all this. We got the corner. There's no reason to start another fight. Especially near where white has all this thickness. So when black comes in, white should probably see if we can push that stone into the thickness. You know, counterattack something hard. Like shove it this way. Oh, that's exactly what white played. Good, good, good. Honey, yeah. And we mostly kind of just... My first instinct is just to run up this way, but maybe it can connect to that. So there's the double Hane is one choice. Not sure if it's better. Just stretching makes sense to me. It's a little hard for him to run the whole way. There's always this cutting point after. Even if he goes all the way and connects, there's still this cutting point going to be left. So black should sack these 2. Black should sack these 2. This white group's alive, so they're not soldiers. Right? All we got to do is defend this. So probably just here. This is a strong move. I don't know if you want to fight so strongly in an area where white has this big wall. This is the fighting move. It's a strong fighting move, but you gotta be a little careful. Oh, white gives up. Okay, you just capture the stone. You just capture. This gives white many fewer forcing moves. When we pray out here, this is cutting off this whole thing. Imagine the difference. You just play here. Now you never have to worry about whether this escapes, so you can just connect out here somewhere. Right? Instead, when we do it this way, now black has to worry about whether this white stone escapes at some point. Maybe not right now, but because it just doesn't work right now. But does it? No, there's still a ladder, right? But white moves around here, which are ladder breakers, are things you have to worry about, right? This is more problematic. Black Tanuki. Black's threatening to save these 2 stones. The problem is this black group's not alive. And black is winning this game. So a white counterattack against this is white's chance. Can we do something? Oh, white defends. All right. And black comes back to defend the important stuff. This is not the way I would do it. I just want to get out of dodge and be happy. But this is a counterattack. This is still fighting. Well, not really. I mean, if black were to get this and this and this, then there would be a counterattack against the corner. And black has to connect here before there's a cut. So actually, there's probably not much going on here. Instead, you can just play here or out here. Just get this group out of dodge. Just connect it. Take it home. This is a big move. It is Gote, right? And black did pick a move that didn't quite live immediately, so you can still try to surround and attack him. But it is big. It's a big territorial move. Yatari, push, that makes sense. And what on earth? So if you want to capture these two stones, you probably do it by capturing here. Then these guys have no cut here to aim at, or nothing to really run to, and you just go here, and they're just where are they going? Right? They're just running into white thickness everywhere, so they're dead. Right, so black connects here, threatening this cut. You got to defend it. Well, that is Sente. Black's gonna counter honey, or is he gonna capture? Both are good. Just cuts, okay. This move does threaten the cut, but I did expect black to answer this. If black was losing, this would be a very good move. This position's good for black, and it's going to make a big mess. So when white comes out and attacks this stone, right, he's got to get this home, and then white's going to be able to come back and connect here,
Black
and
wins.
I don't know if something dies. Like, this is what I'm worried about. Black might have a plan against this. This is the game. And does connecting here just capture at least this much? It looks like it. White instead cuts here. This is also strong. This is also strong. Gotta be a little careful. These two guys aren't alive yet. I mean, this is the way you go if you try to get everything, right? Because there's still this cut. But the guys you really want are these. If you get these are sort of a consolation prize for not killing all of this. Right. I see. So White's taking the consolation prize. It's still a good prize. So these guys are dead. But Black's got to save this, so he's going to capture. Here, you don't have enough liberties. You're just dying here. But I still wonder if White can play this. Just let this happen and just kill all of these guys instead. That looks good. Instead, we're stretching. Now, Black here will live immediately at this point, and he's got more forcing moves. Yeah. And now Black should be completely alive, it looks like. Yeah, okay. So White missed a chance. White does capture this. This might be closer to even than it used to be, especially after White's already gotten this. We'll maybe look at the other game first. Oh, the other game's over. Black wins. How'd we do? Right, we stopped sort of around here, and we said that essentially White lost the chance against this group. Right, and now breaking this is going to be very difficult. This is also a very important spot. Very important because this group's, the corner's so badly hurt. And Black can just probably even do this, right? Is this what he did? Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah. And it's just territorially very huge. Usually you just capture. White might play here anyway, right? And if he does this and then he plays this, then what's the hell is this square stone doing, right? Okay. And looks like this was mostly just endgame from here on. Yeah, it looks like all the groups are settled. Large endgame, but the question is now mostly purely territorial. I still want to go back to this other game. This game is still being very exciting here. Oh, this is the one that might not work, right, because of this. But it's not what happened. You still want to be a little careful here, Black. Yes. Good. Good. Yes. Yeah. Looks like black's gonna win this one. This is white. This is a very strong move. This is a very strong move. White's gonna get this too. I'm now not sure black's gonna win anymore. This is a nice move. Should just cut, right? Yes. Okay. Pull down. Yes. Here. It's Sente, right? Gotta do something about it. Okay, whatever. Not a big deal. Yeah, it looks like it's endgame now again. Okay. And is this game over? Not quite. So this is one we're looking at. Conversation at move 134 said, I think you're way ahead from white. You can't see that. I've covered it up with my mug so you don't see the players' names or anything. The usernames. At this point, white said, I think you're way ahead. Maybe black was ahead at this point, but I think between getting Sente from this monkey jump and even the ability to capture these later if you want them, plus getting these guys, maybe we're closer to even. I haven't like evaluated anything. No counting, just a rough estimation. This move does capture these two stones, right? Maybe not. No, it doesn't. Alright, I take it back. Black can connect with a couple different ways. Okay, I'm just wrong. I'm just wrong, that's all it is. Okay. Here's some strong forcing stuff. Just endgame. Alright, well, maybe this is a good time to call it quits. We'll find out who wins this game, probably. Let's do that. Let's just use the estimator. It says black by 21. Wow, even getting this wasn't enough. The situation was too good for black before. Also, this is a mistake because white has this move. It's still not gonna win the game if it's 21 points, though. Also, it's not actually capturing this group. I see. So instead we do this, which, yeah. So I was wrong thinking that this was a mistake because white had this move, because actually black does get out of dodge just by capturing. Okay. Is this a thing? There's only one eye? It might be. You can still connect this way, right? Also, white has very few liberties here. You gotta be very careful. I don't think this is a thing. There's no eye here, but you can still probably connect. Gotta be a little careful. I think this works. White can't try to cut because if black does this, then this comes back to life, so then this dies. So instead this does happen. Atari here. Yeah, this is the game. So probably the earlier score that we looked at, 21 points or so. 19, right? White got a little more, but there shouldn't be anything left on this board that will save white at this point. I think black is winning. Also connecting
Review
here is
started.
Sente, which is painful. Right, so probably this is the next move now that this life and death of this has been completely settled. Now you take the Sente point. Yeah, I think I'm calling it quits for this video. And this one was won by the black player. I did expect black to win this. He's a little stronger. It's a nice game, though. I think white had a White had a shot here against this group. This was scary. Um, Black got into a lot of trouble here. Maybe Black should just sack the stone or something and get out. A lot of things went wrong, I think, maybe because of this exchange. This is such a weird move. Black has always access to eyes in the corner this way. And when we make this exchange, it goes a little funky. And then Black got into a lot of trouble from a position that I thought should have been very good for him. Yeah, it got messy. This is still endgaming, but yeah, I'm going to call it quits for the video. So, thank you guys for watching, and if something weird happens, I'll update you. But that should be that for these two games. Alright. And, take